Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I hope we've all had a super spiffing Christmas. We're back for this pre-recorded episode because, let's face it, over the whole Christmas period, we're going to be fucked out our faces and probably in no fit state to be on the internet at all. No, so we thought we'd pre-record. And we've got the Oxfather with us as well. So blessings on everyone.
Yes,
look, we're all here.
Papa Ox is here, my sons.
Exactly. So you may have noticed by the slide that we are going to do something slightly different for this show, because I think it's safe to say over the last year we've all encroached a bit more into miniatures and all that shenanigans. So I thought we would do a quick recap on everything we picked up this year, where we were going with it, why we're doing it, and kind of to update people on last year's filler episode. We were going on about 3D printing. So let's kick it off.
Zacks joined the game now, hasn't he? He has the equipment, so
he's got the gear. He's popped his printing cherry after all the pressure we laid on.
Yeah,
He's in. Wow. So let's start off with what got you into it. What got us into collecting miniatures? So I started this year with miniatures because I used to play 40k and the price of 6 scale was going through the roof and I needed something else to fill the void, and bought a Orc Combat Patrol because I just wanted to paint it. Then bought the Codex and then started playing it every other week with a guy at work, and then my other mate who I used to play 5th edition with, who still plays, started to play with him, and then my other mate who I used to play with as well started playing again, and I've proper thrown myself into it. I'm absolutely loving painting miniatures, playing 40k, and for my birthday I've also got the Horus Heresy box set, so I'll be diving into that as well.
Yeah, nice. So you're the real deal. You're painting, you're building, you're painting and printing, and you're playing as well.
Doing the old lot, mate. I'm going balls deep into it.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm absolutely fucking loving it. For me, because of the price of 6 scale shot right up, this I can collect. I can go in and I can spend a quarter of what I would spend on a 6 scale figure and come away with a decent amount of miniatures that will take me a while to work my way through. So I tend to get the longer kind of value out of it. And the miniatures now are so well detailed, and it's a completely different world painting those to painting 6 scale heads and stuff. Because if you can paint a 6 scale head remotely decently, people think it's the best thing ever. And it's fucking fantastic, you're really good at it. Painting in miniature form is a cornerstone of the hobby, so you have to work so much harder to get an inch of like recognition for painting something, which is great because it's a completely different skill set. So I'm really enjoying it. But yeah,
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I paint pretty decently.
Yeah,
and
you do
every time I go play, everyone's like, "Dude, those are painted so good." I went to play Middle Earth on Sunday. I got so many compliments. I was like, damn, I need to come here more often. This is boosting my ego to unfathomable heights. But it fucking awesome. Felt like Golden Demon winning or something like that.
Yeah, it comes, you end up, like, no disrespect to anyone who's ever said, like, something we've painted has been great in 6 scale, but it almost feels like so much more coming from someone who paints the same type of minis, because they're so fucking small and everyone can seem to paint to a relatively decent standard in that hobby.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you say, you get a compliment.
It's almost like posing, right? Like not everyone should pose, but like when you get a compliment on a pose from someone that also poses, it's like yeah, 100%. That's the best way I could put it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I always used to paint miniatures back in the day, like 30 odd years ago. Never played or anything. I used to just like painting stuff, and then recently my boys got into Warhammer, but mainly just from the painting and building and all that sort of thing. But now he started playing it at school, and sorry, excuse me, and we picked up the starter set, and I painted some Space Marines and stuff like that. And I'm just enjoying the painting. I'm kind of definitely not up to you guys' standards, but kind of getting better and just having fun. Really, that's the main thing, I think.
Yeah.
Just really enjoying it, and it's nice to do it with with your kids as well. Find a kind of common hobby. It's really nice. So.
For me, it was Dungeons and Dragons that got me into it. I started playing a lot with the D&D crew, obviously, and started looking into the minis. We do a lot of stuff with Hero Forge, so
Yep.
I ordered a painted print of my model, and the estimated time was like 8 weeks, and it was like almost like $70 for like the mini painted.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, that sucks. Like, I don't want to wait that long. And so between the time that I ordered it and before I received it, I had already had a printer. They went on sale, and Mark Pearson and I picked one up. We went halves on it. And I started printing D&D stuff, and then I was like, well, I'll look into Warhammer stuff, since Ian's playing Warhammer. And it's kind of blossomed into printing all kinds of things for all kinds of people. And yeah, I have some of my favorite prints that I'll show you guys later, but pretty much just started with D&D, and I have Kill Team stuff. I guess technically I have a Warhammer army. I did Armies on Parade. Won a painting competition a few months ago, picked up the gold for the Ox Boys, and it's been fun.
Yeah, that's great. Fantastic.
I didn't place for Armies on Parade, but I think for a lot of reasons I didn't place, but yeah, I've been enjoying painting Middle Earth. I played my first Middle Earth game, which is the first game of miniatures that I've played in a long time.
How was it? Was it good?
It was fun. I lost, but I also didn't know what I was doing for most of it. But yeah, it was a fun game. It's not as hard to learn as Warhammer. The rules are very simple. The armies are very simple. The choices are very simple. So looking forward to playing again. And I'm getting some models from that game for Christmas, and I'll need to paint like 16, 24 dudes in like 4 days if I want to play in this tournament. So I don't know if that's going to work, but fortunately, I think if I spray them all brown and then go with green highlights and a wash and some flesh tone, I think I'll be able to do it. But
what are they, like Rangers or something?
Yeah, they're Rangers. Yeah, so famous last words. I don't know if it will be possible, but I think it could be done.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun experience, and it's been fun. I've really enjoyed it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a different skill set. Like playing it's fantastic as well. Like a lot of hobby shops are quite welcoming as well. They want you to come in. So yeah. I must admit the Lord of the Rings stuff is something I want to have a look at because the models look great and the game looks pretty good as well. So
yeah, it's so weird though. Like maybe like half, if not more than half of the models that you can play, they don't make anymore. So it's like you're kind of stuck paying secondary market prices or like hoping they'll do a made to order.
Yeah.
So it's real weird, to be honest. It's different. Like I'll look at people's armies list and I'm like, I don't even think I've ever seen this model painted or assembled or for sale, and you're playing with it. There's whole armies that you literally cannot buy anymore. So it's a weird game. It's kind of like they forgot about it, and then like randomly they made this huge box set and all this dice for it. So it's like, okay, so I guess the game's not dead, which is great because I'm getting into it. Yeah, but it's, and then like last year we did 3D printing for the bonus episodes. So like I think we'll touch on that today too, but I've obviously been printing a lot. So now I know words that Ian said. I probably should go back and listen to what Ian was saying last year, because every word that he said went in one ear and out the other. I don't know the damn thing that he told me last year.
Yeah. I find the printers are so much... I use it a lot more with this hobby than I do with 6-scale. 6-scale, I print the odd accessory here and there, or the odd head sculpts. But with this... I'm using it a hell of a lot more for scenery. I'm using it for models, for all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I definitely use it a lot more for this than I do 6-scale. Yeah, I thought we'd have a look at some of the stuff we picked up in 2020 as well. So
I'm completely bucking the trend here because this isn't a mini. But then I thought,
what the hell?
well, Well, we've got a section later on about painting, and I haven't painted as many minis as you guys, so I just thought I'd put some bits in that I've painted. So I picked up the Nerf Aliens Pulse Rifle, completely repainted it, and it's the same. You know, the techniques pass over in different scales. You know, and obviously. Yeah, I just thought I'd put it in there because it was a cool pickup, and I enjoyed painting it, and yeah, but it's not a mini, but yeah, to hell with it. But yeah, that's cool.
Wow.
How about yourself, Zach?
So I picked up 2 printers this year, so mostly like since the fall. So I got the Elegoo Mars 3 4K printer, which is fantastic. I had a little bit of a learning curve the first few prints, but since then I think I've been doing fairly well with it. Yeah, we'll probably get into it later, but I feel like this year I've really learned how to support models or like learn techniques to like help support models. That was kind of my biggest thing starting. I have so much failures, but there's some easy things. Like I know Ian, you were saying you had a lot of trouble with the Hero Forge stuff.
Yeah.
I ended up downloading Prusa Slicer and then just auto orient support and then export as STL, and then you can scale it however you want and the support stay there.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a failure with any of these models since.
Yeah, because you had a
so.
few issues, didn't you, with the one that I designed?
Yeah, it took ages
Yeah.
to get it to print properly. It was just little bits would fail, like the bottom of the handle of the axe, or like where the cape was billowing out.
Yeah, I had the same issues with, and ever since I started doing that, I've had none. And then for Thanksgiving, this guy was selling a FDM printer, which is a filament. It's not liquid; it's like a spool.
Yeah.
And he was selling it for dirt cheap, so I picked up an Ender 3 Pro, and that thing is fucking awesome. Now, obviously, you're printing different things than you would with the resin printer. They're totally not printing the same things at all, but like with the filament printing, like you can get into printing like terrain, which is always really fun. And I think it comes out pretty good with a little bit of filler primer on it. I haven't painted it yet, but
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of fun things you can do with that, and
So that I finally got on a filament printer.
Yeah, that was about a 14-hour print and used about 1/5 of the roll. So about $4 worth of filament. And yeah, it's fun, man. And I finally picked up a desk because my 3D printing setup was janky as fuck. So yeah,
so where have you got that? Is that in the garage?
It's in the garage. Yeah, it's in the garage. Yeah, so it looks all janky behind it, but it works good, man. That fucking filament printer is awesome. It's probably I enjoy printing with it more than the resin because the cleanup is you just pull it off, then you're ready to go again.
It's done.
Or if you have a failure, you just pull it off, and there's no chemicals, no smell, no nothing. Like it's fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm tempted to get a filament printer just to do like you say the terrain and everything like that because you know I can do it with my Mono X, but just it would be easier if particularly it's more durable as well. Like because terrain you kind of lob about a bit, so I'd much prefer to print it in that. But yeah, I'm proper. I can't tell you how happy I am that you've got into printing. Because
it's fantastic, bro.
So addictive. The fact that you can just load something up on your computer and then X amount of hours later you're holding it in your hand. It's just mind-boggling to me.
It's changed my Amazon changed 2 days is what I expect now for things. But now I'm like, damn, I want this new keycap or I want this piece of terrain.
Yeah.
It's I could have this in 10 hours, 14 hours, Yeah. I've been doing some long prints. I printed out a whole desk organizer for my wife. It was a 30-hour print.
Wow.
It's fun, man. I print out
and you've been
cool
printing
shit.
Christmas gifts for people as well. So that's a
I've printed a lot of Christmas gifts. Yeah. So it's been awesome, man. Printing for me this year is the most fun thing I think that I've done. And it's also somewhat lucrative. I've had a lot of people messaging me hey, can you print me this or this or this? And of course the answer is yes. If you're willing to pay for that service. There was a guy that
people don't understand it though, do they?
Yeah, so so I printed the code cylinders, the Republic version, and they have this little nipple on the top. It's a little rinse. I don't know what you call it, but it's different than the Imperial ones. The Imperial ones are like flat on the top.
Yeah.
Like I was like, well, I don't want that. Can you like just cut it off? And I'm like, well, it'd probably break like a pretty small print. It'd probably snap the resin. I was like, I can try to edit the file to remove it, but it's not like. He's like, okay, well, just do that. And I was like, okay, but I need to like make sure the size is the same. Like it's not like it's not like clip art where you just clip it and it's. I have to resupport the model. I have to like make sure I can get the print again. And they didn't understand that it wasn't like a, a thing. It's been interesting. But like I said, I've enjoyed it. Spent a lot of money on resin and filament, but I'm having a lot of fun, making some of that money back. And by this point, both of my printers have paid for themselves. So really excited to.
I got my Mono X. I got my Mono X when the first Chrome Mando came out, and everyone wanted the Series 2 accessories. Got the files, printed them, painted them, sold them, and within I think 2 weeks I'd made back the money I bought. I paid for the printer. Like that's cool. If you can find the accessory at the right time, people just go mental. So it's great.
I think it's important also to learn how to like mess with files because like one thing that I needed to do is printing. Let me pull up a photo here. Printing the spear from Batman versus Superman, and it's a huge like piece, right? Like it's in quarter scale. It's almost like 19 inches long. Yeah. But to take a file and then split it into 4 pieces digitally, and then keep the scale the same and then support each piece individually was like a fun thing. Or like I found someone that made a 3D model of Narya for like Blender, and I took that, converted it to an STL, repaired the file, scaled it, supported it, and printed it. And a few people had wanted those, and like just being able to manipulate files or like easy things like taking a logo and turning it into a 3D print. We made Christmas ornaments with that. There's so many like things that I've learned this year from like printing. It's been so fun. Like when we did OxCon, we had people fly down, so we gave them Ox Air pilot wings, like badges. It was like a little bit of like a fun thing. But yeah, it's been fucking so fun, dude. I've had so much fun printing.
Yeah.
I find I do my best work when I'm low on resin. Bro, there was this one point where I had like maybe like 80 grams of resin left, like literally drops of resin. And I think I did like 40 prints of the Gandalf spear topper and the pipe and like just like no failures. Like I was like, bro, I cannot afford to fail if I want to print these. And I was like Michael Jordan, bro, just fucking throwing it up, swish. I wasn't missing. And then as soon as I got more resin, I fucked up like the next 4 prints. I got a little too cocky. I was like, oh, I got this in the bag, bro.
Mate,
try the next 4 prints.
Try having a Mono X with a bigger vat. Because you'll get your resin in your bottle and go, oh, I've got fucking loads in there. And the moment you pour it in, because your vat's like that and my vat's like that, the resin then spreads out and you go, oh, I have enough resin to finish printing, but because it spreads out, I then don't have enough. So I'm like, fuck. So I've always got to have more resin. It's the amount of times where I've gone, yeah, that looks enough. I pour it in, I come back, I'm like, fucking out of resin, and that's fuck that print. I'll fuck that off. But I save all the fails, particularly the miniatures, because I can use them for basing and stuff. So I never lob them away, ever.
Biggest pro tip before you get into your pickups was buying screen protectors.
Yes,
bro. I had a FEP fail on me, bro. Here's a picture. It's fucking graphic, bro. And it punctured the screen protector. And it got caught by the factory one, but it would have been much worse if I didn't have that first one on there because it goes to the edges, whereas the factory one only goes to about here. And so fortunately, like, only the tiniest drop got in this one corner, but bro, I was stressed out.
Because the Anycubic ones don't have that factory one. Yeah, they just have the screen. So if you remotely get any resin on that and it dries and you scrape it off, you take the anti whatever film straight off of it.
It's a polarizing film.
Yeah, so if you've got an Anycubic printer, it's an absolute must to have that on.
Yeah.
Because the amount of them you see that are just fucked, it's like, well, that's a new screen. That's fucked. You bollocks it, and you got to change your whole screen out. Like, definitely do that. But yeah, so I've had a printer for a while, but this year's all been about Warhammer, particularly 40k. So Horus Heresy should arrive, well, because we're pre-recording this, it should have arrived today. But because of our posties have decided to go on strike, it's not going to now arrive until that little gap between Christmas and New Year. But I've got the Horus Heresy turning up, which I'm really looking forward to playing, because that's it's a simplified version of 40k, because they've taken the old, I think it's 5th edition rules and kind of added a few bits to it, but it's not like current 40k with lots of CP and stuff like that. But I started off with Orcs this year, so I got stuff like Garskull there. I went back to Chaos, so I've got like a Baden, which was just an awesome model. The Lord Despondent as well, which is this guy on the big crab thing. So that I was painting up for a competition and didn't get it in time. I just couldn't do it. Because that one was a pain in the arse, because the points at which he glues to the model are his feet, which are tiny little points. And before I started it, I played a game and my mate bought his, and the little dude on the back broke off, and the actual crab thing kept breaking off as well. So I was like, I know I'm not going to have the patience for that. So I had to drill a hole up through the base into the crab thing, pin it. Then I had to hide the pin with a load of rocks, and then a load of felled print parts I put down, so it was all body parts and shit all over the base. And then I had to drill a hole in the guy's arse and drill a hole in the top of the thing to pin him in there, so that fucker's not going anywhere. But this was by far one of my favourite models of the year, because it took me about a month all in all to paint. But he's also got lots of decent looking blood effects that I quite like. So if you get you can get super glue, cheap, horrible, nasty super glue that's stringy as fuck. Mix the blood effect into that, and then with a toothpick touch it to what you want to string it across, and you get this really cool blood effect. It's the same with this Fabius Bile down there at the bottom. That's what he's got on all these little pins and needles that he's got on his backpack. So yeah, I've Balrog's Revenge as well was another cool one. Games Workshop do these little commemorative models. So that was a nice little one to paint. I tried to keep that as clean as possible, because I use lots of washes with stuff, and I thought I'm going to try and paint this like everyone else paints their stuff, with minimal amount of washes, and try and be nice as clean as possible, which was horrible. I didn't like it, so instantly went back after that and started using all the washes like I normally do. And then this little one in the corner, this little orc riding on the sea squig, that's a 3D print, so that's completely printed, and that's probably one of my favourite models, just because of how orky it is. But yeah, that was pretty much my pickups. So I've been a Chaos Army I've got this year, and an Orc Army. The Orc Army, playing with it, I can't seem to roll dice for shit when I play with orcs. And orcs need quite high numbers quite a lot of the time. I'll be rolling 1s and 2s constantly and just get my ass kicked. When I play Chaos, my rolls seem to be a lot better. So I've been enjoying playing with Chaos a lot more than I have been orcs for the last part of the year. So the Orc Army might disappear in the new year, and so I'll just stick with Chaos.
The Horus Heresy, what are the two sides here? You got Space Marines.
They're all Space Marines. So you've got the Traitor Legions and the Loyalist Legions. So the Horus Heresy is pretty much the introduction of Chaos into the 40k universe. So you had Horus, who was a Primarch. So you effectively have the Emperor, who makes the Primarchs, who go out into the galaxy and are pretty much crusading across the galaxy to try and unite humanity and bring everyone into line. If you don't, they just wipe you out. If you're a Xenos, like you're an alien species, they just wipe you out. And then the Horus Heresy is pretty much about how Horus rebels. The end of the Horus Heresy, he tries to kill the Emperor kills him, and this is kind of the aftermath where you have these traitor legions. So you'll have stuff like the Sons of Horus, who end up becoming the Black Legion in 40k. You've got Imperial Fists, who are Loyalist Legion. They're in this. So you end up... These are pretty much just very simplified rules for 40k, which is how it used to be, which is why I think I'm going to quite like playing it. But the models, I really like the models. So I'm, very much looking forward to getting my hands on that. And as box sets go with 40k, this was about 150 quid. And you get quite a lot in there for that. So, quite happy with that.
Cool.
So I thought we'd have a little chat about painting. We kind of touched upon it because this year's been like painting, like we said, painting minis is different. It's completely different to painting 6 scale. I've always painted. I painted minis for years and years and years. Got into 6 scale, started painting 6 scale. I've now jumped back, but it's been quite a big gap in between. And painting minis now is completely different than it was when I collected, say, 5th edition years back.
So these are a couple of your early efforts back when you had a throw. I see.
Yeah. These I found on on Google, and I had to put these in because this one at the bottom is off quite a famous painting meme. But so I wanted to know like your experiences with painting, and obviously Pete, it's a bit different for you because you've done a few minis this year, and you've kind of branched out. You've kind of done the opposite to what I've done, where you've gone from one to the other. So
again, I've got a bit of a mix here, but because I kind of, as I say, I've dipped my toe into the 1/6 head scale painting now, which I've really enjoyed. But through that, I've kind of, it's helped me with the miniatures as well because I've discovered, I've got some better brushes, some smaller brushes. We talked about. I discovered the magic of the wet palette and all this kind of stuff.
Amazing.
So in terms of the miniatures, obviously I did a Beholder. Zach, you did one as well. You went with blue. I went with red. That was the first one because my boy was in Wayland Games, which is like Zach. It's kind of like a local retailer to me, and they're cheaper than Games Workshop and stuff, and Ian's bought stuff online.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
Love it.
And they're so good when you go there. It's brilliant. And so I was just having a look around, thinking, I want to paint something. What do I want to paint? And I'm like old school Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. And I found these as a Nolzor's miniatures thing. So I picked up the Beholder, painted that, really enjoyed it, and then I just basically bought some different bits and pieces. So I got like a sort of a Gandalf there, and that's actually the frost effect from the Beholder. So I didn't put any of the effects on, but I thought that would work well for him. I painted the little guy with the dragon helmet, and then there's just a couple of bits. And then, so my boy picked up this starter recruit set for the 40k. So these are a couple of Space Marines, and again, like you, Ian, I kind of I got a bit carried away, and I thought, you know what, I want them dirty, I want them messy, I want blood on the chain swords and stuff like that. So they're proper weathered up. There's this little commander guy. I think he came in one of the tanks. So obviously he hasn't got a coherent army as such. He just buys the bits he likes and the tanks he likes and things like that, and we kind of mix and match. But he was quite good fun to paint. So just there's a few of my 6-scale head sculpts there, and I also finally got around to weathering up 3PO and R2 for sort of a New Hope look. So I've always enjoyed. Oh, and that in the middle is the Present Toys indie jacket. So I painted that and weathered and stuff. So I've always done a little bit of painting, and I think if you can do a bit of painting, you can really kind of it really adds a different dimension to your collecting. You can make some changes, you can improve things, you can, as you say, you can 3D print, or you can buy 3D prints, stuff like that. So I think I would just encourage people to have a go. Maybe not on expensive hot toys to start with, But there's plenty of, so like with the miniatures, they're cheap enough that you can buy a little set and have a go. I think the headsets with the lights on and the magnifying lenses are very useful. And as I say, I bow to your superior skills, Ian and Zach, in the miniature painting. But I've got a lot better in just a short while. So I think if you push on and you give it a go, you kind of as with anything, we live in a great age with YouTube, and there's a lot of tutorials and things like that. But I've just found that you learn along the way, and you do one, you go, oh, that didn't work. I'll try it this way, and things like that. So yeah, no, it's good fun, and we've got a lot to paint. He's got a lot of models, so we're going to hopefully over the next few days spend a bit of time painting with my boy. So yeah, that's it's good fun. I always enjoy a bit of painting in this hobby. How about yourself, Zach?
So I've been painting for a while. I think I started painting 2014, and then I stopped painting in 2017, and I just started up again. And I've been kind of painting, hobbying just a little bit here and there, but I actually like model painting. Just picked it back up again, and it's really like riding a bike. Like I felt like a little bit brush control was a little bit lacking at first, but it came back pretty quick. Yep. For me, some of the biggest things that I've done this year, making my own black and brown washes in bulk, because I would always have to remake them, and the consistency or the color would change. Having a consistent bulk wash. And then I bought a bunch of, what are these? 00, 000 brushes, like the real fine ones.
Yeah.
I bought a pack of 50 of them. This is what I use for like 90% of my model painting, miniature painting, except for like washes and dry brush, obviously. But, even with this one having like a furrowed tip, like I'm going to use it till basically not usable, swap it out, and I have 48 more to go. So it's nice having backup brushes. But yeah, so I started, like I said, with D&D, so the bottom right. I think the Ozol on the bottom right was my first model. Definitely rough. That was like shit. For the first model to be an all-white character, you could tell in the Gandalf there on the top left, like I got a lot better with white. And then I did the Beholder. I think that was one of my first models too. I chose to go blue. So in our D&D campaign, my character has that blue crystal on his staff, and that crystal is it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like this Beholder here on the left, his name is Tenebrous. That's what we call him in our campaign. He had a dream, and the dream manifested as like this crystal of like energy, and that was passed down by many people, and eventually my wizard took ownership of it. And so it's a very powerful magical item that was created by this Beholder on the left named Tenebrous. One of my first 3D prints, actually it might have been my second or third after the calibration cubes, was this Gandalf. And Mark had always admired this print, and so when he came down for OxCon, we painted it together, and it came out great. Honestly, it was one of those things where when you paint models, there's always that phase where it looks like just terrible.
Yeah.
And then like you do a few things and it looks really good. And I was painting, I was kind of nervous because I was like, damn, like if this sucks, like he's watching me paint live, like it's a lot of pressure. But it came out so good. I finished it literally right before we took him to the airport, and that's now in his collection. I also picked up the stabby guy. I don't know what it's called. Bayard's Revenge.
Bayard's Revenge. Yeah.
Converted him a little bit to be an Imperial Fist, and that was a fun one. This isn't a photo of my finished model, but it's pretty close to the finished piece. On the bottom there, that's my kill team. That's the one that won me the gold medal. I did change out the sergeant, but this is the best photo I have of them all together. But yeah, that won the Hole in the Wall Hobbies kill team painting tournament, and so I won like a official Games Workshop gold medal. It's real fancy. Nice. And then the Gandalf the White on Shadowfax was the last character that I painted. And that one came out great. It was kind of hard to wrap my head around it because it's a white outfit, or a mostly white outfit with a white dude on a white horse, and so with a white stick. So it's like kind of balancing the different colors, working in some cream colors, working in a little bit of gray, a little bit of off-white, a little bit of pure white, you know, a little bit of browns and blues. And I think it came out so good. This is probably, you know, obviously I'm biased for Gandalf, but this might be my favorite model I've ever painted. It came out so good.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, this on the table, this model got a lot of compliments from the
And the grass is not really good as well.
Thanks. Yeah, those were just little tufts. It's kind of cheap. You just, you know, they come like, I mean, basically what they do is they take glue and they put it on like wax paper and they sprinkle the, you know, the little grass on top of it and electrocute it. So all you have to do is peel it off and then you just put a little bit more glue and then just stick it wherever.
Ah, cool.
But, yeah, so I use that for all my models. I'm lazy. But yeah, this Gandalf the White, man, this might be one of the best things I've ever painted. It's a huge step forward for me in terms of painting. And especially because the scale is a little smaller. It's just a touch smaller than Warhammer scale. I think Warhammer's 32 millimeter. This is 28 millimeter. So it's like you have to be a little sharper with the painting. So
No, brilliant.
very nice. That's what I got. What about you, Ian?
So a lot of chaos this year. A lot of chaos. But the thing that was probably a game changer was the wet palette. Now same as I've been painting for quite a while now, and I'd always just use a normal palette and happy days. This was an absolute game changer because of it enables me to wet blend easier. It also saves me a fucking fortune in paint. Like black is I was going through black like no man's business because you put a dollop on, you thin it down a bit, you'd use it, you go off, start doing something else, come back, that's dry, another little dollop. This, I can fill up the wet palette with all the paints I think I'm going to use, and I can come back to that in like a week's time and reuse it. It's as wet as the moment I put it on there. So that was a big game changer for me. And wet blending, like if you look at a Baden sword, it goes from the blue to the green and gradually changes. So being able to have a wet palette and being able to do stuff like that was great for me. But these are probably the three models that I like the most that I've done this year. Fabius, which is this guy here with the backpack, he comes with a little dude, this little guy that I need to finish off, but he was just so much fun to paint, and I did him in a completely different style to kind of the rest of my army. But I'm loving the blood effects. I'm loving doing like these like glowy little effects and things like that. And a tip for anyone for basing stuff, if you want this kind of gravelly kind of look, all of that is cat litter. So I discovered this by accident when I bought the wrong cat litter. Well, my missus bought the wrong cat litter, and I opened it up and was like, he's never going to fucking touch that. And I was like, this is just fucking gravel. And like hobby shops will sell you gravel for a stupid amount of money for a little pot like that. And I was like, this whole like fucking 30-litre bag of cat litter cost like a £5. So now that's in the cupboard, and I use that for basing and foam and stuff like that.
I don't have a cat, but does it smell like?
Nope.
Like it's just dirt or whatever?
It's chippings.
Yeah, it only smells when it's got piss on it.
Yeah.
Well,
so don't piss
obviously.
on it before you
I don't know if like well no, like I think there's some cat products like they're supposed to smell like when we had diaper bags, they would smell like fresh.
Yeah, no.
Clean.
So this is just the
send me a picture because that's actually not a bad idea. I might need to pick some of that stuff up.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of the type I've got because there's different types, but this is the cheapest, nastiest stuff you can get, and it works really well for basing. So I use it now religiously all the time, and then I cut up any time I'm making any scenery or anything like that. I'm using blue board. Any of the offcuts I chuck into a bag, and I use those for like bigger bits of rubble if I want to hide stuff. But I'm a big fan of washes and stuff like that. So I literally base coat, pick out detail, add some washes, go back in, do a bit more, add some more washes, and I like my models. I'm very much stuck in the grim dark days of Warhammer, so I like my models dirty and a bit grungy and a bit like, I don't like them pristine, like they've just walked off the training ground. Particularly something like a Baden. He's like thousands of years old and he's an absolute fucking beast. Like, he's not going to be absolutely pristine. But these are by far, particularly the Disco Lord. Like I said, I was going to enter him into a competition. They have like the Armies on Parade type thing, and it was all about fast moving units, and I just didn't get enough time that month to finish him off. But my local Games Workshop,
I love him. He's brilliant.
Don't do so much as a competition. They do kind of, you bring it in, they put it on their website, people kind of like it, and they go, these are the ones that we're going to show off. Because the guy in there was saying, well, they used to do competitions, but then they realised that in the local area there were 3 professional painters. So every month when they did a painting competition, it was always these 3 guys, and no one else got a look in. So he kind of went, yeah, we're not doing that anymore.
You gotta have different categories at that point.
Yeah, and they do, to be
expert, whatever.
Yeah, that's what they should do. But in the end, they've just said, look, this is the general theme. Submit something, and then we kind of show them all off. Which I want to enter a painting competition, but there isn't really that many around that are close to me for me to be able to enter, which is a shame because I want to just to see how I get on with it. But yeah, that they were my top 3 of the year. And then I thought we'd have a little recap on printing now that Zacks in the club. So now we've just got to work on Pete. We just got to get Pete to get a 3D printer, and we're away.
Yeah, that's not happening. But yeah.
I want to call you 3D Pete.
3D Pete. That's what we want.
Yeah. Probably not. I'm.
Dare you?
Yeah, I can't. I like the idea of it, but I'm not sure I can be bothered to do all the learning about how to do it all and stuff like that. And having good friends that can print stuff for me.
It does help.
That works for me. So yeah,
It does help.
Yeah. But yeah, take it away, guys. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So Zach, run us through your little. Give us an update. Run us through.
Yes. What do you want to know? Oh, here we go. I was like, yeah, that I can do. We also have some questions from Ox that I'll read here in a second. So this year, I've been doing a lot of printing, obviously. These are some of my favorite models that I printed. So we got the Golden Papa on the left, which is the Emperor, Rugal McDougal, which is Rogel Dorn on the right. And then 1987, the Babinski Lord of the Rings animated Gandalf and Bilbo, which I accidentally ordered or was sent rather by Amazon Clear Resin. I ordered gray and they sent me clear, which was like such a happy little accident because I've been wanting to try the green or the red or the blue. And it prints so beautifully. It's a little bit more brittle. So, there's that, but it just prints so beautifully. So for Ronnie the Witch, she's like this blue ethereal witch, and she came out beautifully in that clear resin. Same with my D&D character. I need to gloss these up a bit, but yeah, they came out great. Yeah. And I mean, it looks like the hologram effects that like Hot Toys would give you. Like it looks factory. Cool. Like it looks so cool. And so I've been printing a lot in clear resin. I got this file called the Astari, which is this wonderful bust of Gandalf, and I think one of the better portraits, honestly.
It does look really good.
Yeah, and I printed that one, and yeah, I've been having a blast, man. I've been just printing just a bunch of random stuff, and like everything that I've been printing has just came out beautifully. So I'm really excited to see kind of what happens going forward. And actually, Ian, I know we ordered an STL of Gandalf. I think we were using it to like make a bust. If you still have that file, I think I want to try to print that also.
Yes, I'll ping it over. I'll send it over with the Mudhorn.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I've had a lot of fun printing. These are just some of my favorite prints in resin, and yeah, you guys should definitely get to printing because it's fucking awesome.
It is fucking amazing. So I've this year with printing, my biggest discovery has been Seriatech resin. Absolutely changed how I print stuff. It's a lot thinner. It's still water washable. It's a lot thinner, but the detail you get out of it and how easy it is to print. So I printed some noise marines for my mate using my old Anycubic resin, and I had a few failures. A few backpacks didn't print, but generally they were fine. I bought this other resin, loaded them up exactly the same, printed everything printed perfectly, and having them side by side, the amount of detail I got out of the Seriatech resin compared to the Anycubic resin, it was like night and day. There was a big difference. So now this is all I will print in is this stuff. It's about £10 more expensive, but it's blinding. So this Mathurston, I had to scale this down. So this is half the size of the original file. The base alone wouldn't fit on my build plate, so I knocked it down by half, and then this probably took about 10 hours to print in the separate pieces. Now, one thing people don't tell you about resin is it's hard to glue together if you don't sand it. So you need to sand where you're gluing and then glue it together. So a big kit model like this, definitely you need to sand the bits. But this is by far my favourite thing I printed for a while. Like the details are crisp. It's fucking massive. Like, this is my little project over Christmas. I normally have a project of some kind. Like last year, it was buying that damaged premium format Gandalf and painting it and fixing it. I haven't got anything like that this year, so I thought, I know, this file is fucking massive. I'll scale it down, I'll print it, and this will be what I do over Christmas. But what I like about printing, particularly with the Warhammer hobby, is because a lot of stuff does come as kits. So this base, I'm able to print as many of them out in as many different scales as I want, and away I go. Like, I can put that base on loads of different stuff, not just that. But and then proxies for stuff. So this guy on the top left, next to Obi-Wan, that's an Orc Meganob. A guy called Pirates War. He does these, and they are fucking fantastic. His models are great. So with a bottle of resin, if I want to try a new model in a game, I just download it and print it. Same with this Hellbrute down there with all the eyes on it. Like, I think I've done 2 of them so far. And then there's Zacks' little model. There's one I painted. And then head sculpts and stuff. I've done a load of them.
What was the dinosaur foot for?
That was for Zach. That was a T-Rex foot for what was it, right. Zach? It was
the Hammond series.
Yeah, that's it. So, for me this year it's been about adapting printing for the hobby I'm in. And being able to, and this is a good thing about, like Zach was saying, about being able to manipulate models. So that Darth Vader with the broken mask, that's a combination of the full mask files on the left hand side and that one on the right hand side of it as well, the Sebastian Shaw one, where I cut them up, banged them together, job done. Same with the one there with the eyepiece missing. It's two files that have been blended together to create a new file. So printing this year has been, I've been loving it. And like, if I can print more stuff like this Big Mathurston, I'll be a happy boy. But yeah, Seriatech resin, it's well worth giving it a go, because the detail I'm getting out of it is way better than what I thought I was getting good results with before. So that's us. That is it. I think we've breezed through everything. But
real quick, I had the question.
Yes, you've got questions. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me let's just run through these quickly here. Let's see. So we just had two. Eric Rodriguez, what to look when buying a first 3D printer? Given your experience, is it worth it more to spend more on a first printer? My son wants to print replacement plastic parts for Nerf. So I think generally speaking, the entry level printers, I think they're good enough, right, for everything that you need. I wouldn't go spending a lot of money on a printer, to be honest. I think less than $300 gets you a grade resin or filament printer. If you want, I think it's also important to identify what you want. So if you're looking for strong parts, I would definitely go FDM, which is the filament, because obviously, resin is brittle by nature. So, the Ceratec stuff is good, but it's still not going to be as strong as plastic. So if you're trying to print something to replace plastic parts, definitely go with a plastic printer. So for me, I would recommend the Elegoo Mars 3 4K, the Anycubic Photon, or the Ender 3 Pro, which I think all those are less than $250 each. Hugh says, what software do they use to make the designs? Where do you get the material? My sister's really into Disney and the Imagineering team, and I think 3D printing encapsulates everything from design, correct material, time to make, etc. But we don't know which 3D printer fits our needs. So I think a lot of people use like Blender and ZBrush to make their digital files. You can also use Tinkercad for like less. I mean, you could do it for very complex things, but I've just only kind of scratched the surface of Tinkercad. For materials, I get them from Amazon. I think most people that I know do as well. And yeah, I mean, choosing the material, the time to make, etc. Like, I could do a print of one of my Ozol minis and it takes like 2 hours, or I can up the quality to like Buku levels and it'll take like 20 hours. So, it really just depends on, again, the quality that you expect from the print and, your time budget. So yeah, it's fun stuff.
Yeah, a couple of tips. If you're looking at buying a 3D printer, you can buy them cheap from the manufacturers. But what I would say is that the manufacturers are all China-based and their customer service isn't great. They will expect you just to open up these bits of kit and start tinkering with the insides. The way around that, you'll be paying slightly more, but order from Amazon, because Amazon then cover you. And then if you have any issues with the printer, Amazon will just go send it back and have a new one. So it's worth getting your printer from Amazon purely because of that. Because I've had issues with like Crowley where my printer was fucked, and they were like, "Yeah, open it up, get a voltage meter, do this, do that," and I'm like, "Hang on, it's a brand new bit of kit. You should be replacing it." But if you order through someone like Amazon, they will just swap it out. And lots of things affect print times as well. Particularly with a resin printer, if I'm printing this scalpel and I print it like that, that's going to take fucking ages. If I print it like that, you're looking at a couple of hours because it prints in layers. So the more layers you've got, the longer the print time. If you ever are asking someone to print something for you, make sure you have an STL file. The amount of times people will message me and go, "Can you print me Arnold Schwarzenegger from Total Recall?" And I go, "I can do if you've got the file." "Oh no, I haven't got a file. I want you to print it." I need the file. Unless I can digitally sculpt that, which I'm not a sculptor. I can't do that. So yeah, there's a couple of things just to bear in mind. But yeah, Zach pretty much covered the rest of it.
Yeah, those are all really good points. Yeah, the file thing is like, and I know, like, if you don't know, like, it's hard to like just know that.
So
right?
hard to explain as well without coming across like a dick.
The guy that, for example, when I started making the Gandalf, a lot of the people, or the Gandalf and the Bilbo from the movie, they were like, "Oh, well, this guy." There's this post where this guy had done a model of the Troll King and what's his name, Gollum from the movie, and it's like, well, yes, they made them, but they're just showing them off. They're not actually offering you the ability to buy the file. So, someone has made this, but that's like me seeing a book. I don't know what's inside the book, right? Like, unless I read it. Like, I don't have the file, so that literally means nothing, to me.
And sometimes as well, people will go, "I want this," and you go, I I can't tell you how much it's going to cost to print it, because even if you show me a link to the STL file, I don't know if it's hollow. I don't know. It's just it's a picture of a model. I can't get into the file to have a look to see how long it's going to take. And sometimes I've had people go, okay, I want to cut the head off this statue. Okay, not a problem. So we buy the files and they're like a £5, and then I get the files and I go, that's for an FDM printer. It's got so many different things wrong with it, or it's multiple separate shells that if you print it with a resin printer, you're going to get a lot of trapped resin that then means that the file, that when you print, it's just going to burst open.
Yeah.
So there's just because there's a file out there doesn't mean it's actually printable. Some files that are out there are actually for digital sculpting and not actually for printing it. You can convert it into an STL.
You can, yeah.
And it takes a hell of a lot of work. But yeah, it's very difficult sometimes.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to explain that. But yeah, I think that's all we had.
Yeah.
I think.
Cool.
If we'll run through the bits and pieces if you need to go, Zach.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I gotta go pick up my kid. Love you guys. Thank you guys for a great year of OFAC. I gotta talk to you guys a bit later about some housekeeping things, but you guys have crushed it this year, and big shout out to everyone that, especially the American side. A lot of us worked during this time, and still seems to be a pretty active OFAC community in the chat. So we definitely appreciate
it.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for joining us, Zach.
And if anyone has
Christmas.
Well,
sorry, I hope you had a great Christmas. Sorry.
Yeah. If anyone has any 3D printing questions, my inbox is always open. I'm sure Ian's
just
always open as well.
Message.
We'd love to help you guys get into the hobby, because it really is a fun hobby, and I think it's one that the more people that can be in the hobby, the better. I think, to be honest.
100%.
Yeah.
But all right, guys. See you later.
Cool.
Have a good one.
Catch you later, mate.
Cheers, Zach. So let's just do the housekeeping. Feels like only 5 minutes ago I did this on the last show. So just a big shout out to all our beautiful Patreonies: Sean Fear, Ian CB, René Mendes, Eric Mariscal, Quinn Aguirre, King Louis, Mark Pearson, Paul Schreiber, James Colley, Equan, Chris Valencerina, Ben Thomas, Chris Leddy, David Jones, Sam Gist, Daminator, Joao Brader, Thomas Clark, Dan Lee, Deanie Martin, Stephen Crett, Big Fern, King Zach, Caesar Marroquin, Mark Phillips, Lisa Martin Bermondsky, Rick De Gregorio, John the Everyday Collector, Ricardo Valdez, Jose CZ, Owen Asusina, the illustrious Rayner, Alid Morgan, Tukathi, Wah, Derek Brzezinski, Aris Portillo, Mark Randolph, Pablo Meza, Carlos Sevilla, D-Rock, Matt Clevenger, Seth Tucker, CC3PO, Scott Smith, Don Madon, Jimmy James, Stephen Purchase, Sean Yahtzee, Scott Bradley, Stephen Maria Stanley, Eddie Manzanares, Louis Bennett, Chip Perrin, Jimmy Hernandez, Gigi the Judgmental, and Brenton Palmer. Whoo! It's getting harder and harder as my voice goes, but yeah, I made it for a second time. Again, we can't thank you guys enough for your support for our show and the network and everything. So brilliant, thank you. If you're not currently a Patreon and you want to join up, we've got the hot seat, which is $5 a month. Show your support for the Empire, get all the digital benefits, Ox After Dark, Patreon chat, and the weekly shout out. $7.50 a month gets you a sticker sent straight to your door, as well as access to Ox After Dark replay. Stickers will be sent out every other month. Crispy tier, $15 a month, gets you an official certified Crispy certificate on first pledge. Assistance with figure fixes by Zach or me and Ian. Happy to help anyone in the UK. And then the What a Guy tier, $25 a month, gets you a exclusive POG Deluxe set on first pledge. Doubles all the stickers we send, so you can give them to your friends and family, and all the benefits of the previous tiers. International postage above $5 will be charged at cost for the POGs. So for December, we've got a special Christmas holiday magnet, collecting weekly live wreath, which is really nice. You can probably still get one of those if you sign up in the next few days, and then obviously we'll be into the new year. But that's a nice little one for December. We also have YouTube channel members. We have Mojo Z78, Absolute Irwin, DK Avenger 702, OMFG Rick, SB, Manchester IB, Daminator, Sam Gist, Thomas Clark, Benjamin Hansen, Chris V, Big Old Fern, Cram, OG Fan, Mark Pearson, Ben Thomas, Paul Schreiber, Andrew Gibo, CC3PO, Carlito, CT603, Eddie Mendez, Sia Dreams, Jay Sear, B Chan, and Fat Batman. It's brilliant. If you're currently a Patreon, you can join the YouTube channel member for 99 cents a month. Gets you loyalty badges, emojis, and member shout-outs on the show. Or you can just join the YouTube if you're not a Patreon. You can join the Peanut Gallery, which is $2.99 a month. Gets you the perks from the previous levels and also, obviously, member shout-outs on the show. We have Collecting Weekly T-shirts available on TeePublic. So if you fancy some merch to wear while you're listening or watching us, then have a look on TeePublic, see what you can find. And then I'll hand back to you, Ian, to take us through the network.
Take us through or systematically dismantle it.
Yeah.
So this is us. This is the network. You've got Collecting Weekly, After Dark, Unboxing, Collectors Clubs, Live and Let Dice, the Ringcast, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe.
You've got us, the Jewel in the Crown. You've got Small Talk, Bricks and Brews, a load of shows.
Wonderful, beautiful bunch of fine young men that you see before you.
It's by far my favourite picture is Dylan's.
Yeah.
Like, it just... It is
looks so happy, doesn't he?
He does, doesn't he? He does. Yeah. What's that program where they've all got tashes and they all they're like traffic cops?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Super Troopers. That's it. Super
Troopers. Yeah.
Dylan Super Trooper. Amazing. Absolutely love it.
Love you, Dylan.
Everyone this year has worked so fucking hard. And with minimal amount of fuss as well, I'd like to just point out. Everyone's rubbing along quite nicely, and
brilliant. We've smashed through the 2,000 subscribers, and we're pushing towards 3. We've got some great things coming up next year. Obviously we're going to Star Wars Celebration in April.
I know.
So that's going to come around really quick, and we can start hyping up
and
for that.
That will be the first time me and Pete have actually met face to face.
It will be.
And how many years have we known each other now?
Yeah, good. Probably be 5 years now. So on the groups and that. So yeah.
So
that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to it. So that's us. That is us.
Yeah.
We are all done.
Yep. So again, we hope you had a brilliant Christmas, and this is just a little sort of short filler episode to get you through to the new year, and then we will be back live on the 12th of January, I think.
If you say so, I'll take your word.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
Something
Anyway,
like that. We'll be back.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yep.
And we shall see you all in the new year.
Cheers, all.
Say bye, people.